In the remote lands of the north, where eternal fog blankets the plains, stood the ancient city of Grimhall. The elders spoke of a curse upon the city, and the shadow of the witch Grayla drifted through the narrow streets, searching for those who dared to uncover her secret, the gate that should not be opened. When the blacksmith Osric and his son Thorvald found an old key in the forest, ominous signs began to appear. Birds fell dead from the sky, fires extinguished themselves, and at night whispers echoed through the streets. The key, covered in dark rust, seemed to know its fate. The Book of Forgotten Names. The temple priest, Old Leaf, told Osric about chronicles hidden in the catacombs. These books spoke of the witch's family, which had vanished centuries ago. Their graves were empty, yet their curse still lived on. Eyes in the darkness. One night, Thorvald heard scratching at his window. When he looked outside, he saw something hidden in the shadows. It was breathing. It knew he was watching. Then came the laughter, low and inhuman, the last mark of the curse. When Osric tried to destroy the key, the metal resisted even the strongest fire. The next day, he found a strange symbol on his shoulder. It glowed faintly in the darkness, a mark left by the witch herself. Grimhall beyond the mirror. Deep within the city, a hidden door was discovered behind an old wall. The key fit perfectly. Beyond it was a corridor leading to another Grimhall, empty, eerie, and frozen in an unnatural time. The portrait that stared into the soul. Inside the old castle, Thorvald saw a massive portrait of a woman. Her eyes moved, watching his every step. He could feel her speaking to him without words. The witch's children. Leaf told the legend of Grayla's children, who had disappeared but never died. They wandered in the shadows, and if their names were spoken, they would return. Candles that gave no light. Osric and Thorvald lit candles in the catacombs, but the flames did not illuminate the rooms. The light was swallowed by the darkness itself, and in that darkness, something was breathing. Voices of the ancient bloodline. An old manuscript revealed the true power of the key. It was a gateway between worlds, but those who opened it would never return. The cost of a mistake. Thorvald, guided by the whispers, turned the key in the lock. The ground trembled and the walls shook. In that moment, he realized they had awakened something that should never have been disturbed. Screams beyond the veil. From the empty city, screams erupted. They were not the voices of the living, but of those long buried in their graves. They called out. They laughed. They wept. The last escape. Osric tried to destroy the key, but it was already bound to the other world. Grimhall was collapsing around them, turning into a trap. The witch returns. A shadow cloaked in darkness emerged from the mist. Her eyes were endless voids. She smiled. "You called me yourselves," the witch whispered. The fate of Grimhall. The last thing Osric and Thorvald saw was the vanishing city. Grimhall was slowly dissolving into the void, leaving behind only the echo of an ancient curse, the door that led nowhere. Thorvald and Osric stood before a door that had never existed before. It was carved with symbols that pulsed as if alive. As Thorvald reached out to touch it, his fingers passed through. On the other side, there was no floor, no walls, only a swirling abyss of shadows. The silent ones. As they tried to escape the collapsing city, figures emerged from the fog, tall, shrouded, and eerily still. Their faces were covered with cloth, their eyes stitched shut. When one of them raised a hand, time itself seemed to freeze. The blood-stained prophecy leaf, before vanishing, had left behind a final warning in blood. It spoke of a cycle, that Grimhall had fallen before and would fall again. "The city is but a mask," the words read, and beneath it, something watches. The last keeper of the key. Thorvald felt the weight of the key burning into his skin. It was no longer just an object. It was alive, whispering, waiting for its true master to return. And in the distance, a voice called his name. The end that was never an end. Osric and Thorvald ran, but the streets looped endlessly, leading them back to the cursed castle. The witch Grayla stood at the gates, her eyes reflecting 1,000 lifetimes. She opened her arms and whispered, "Welcome home."